Hello and welcome back to Swanage Railway. In this video we're looking at the new Hornby Black 5. And again, we're not on Swanage, we're on the fixed layout that is currently being taken apart. I have stopped the progress for today just to record this video. So it's a lot different to what it was in the previous review. So we've got our engine, we've got a small little test track with rolling road at the end. So let's get this engine out the box and have a look at it. So let's switch the rolling road out of the way. So as usual, lots of lovely detail on the box. I'll get it into camera shot so you can actually pause and read it if you really want to. I'm not going to go into that. So, as this is a Black 5, it's a mixed traffic loco, so it would pull passenger or freight. This is the R30225SS, which is the steam and sound version with steam generator and HM7000 decoder already installed. I've not linked it to the app yet. This is just as it is out of the box. I've had a few runs with it the other night at my club. There was a few mechanical issues as well, which I was able to fix with a simple screwdriver. Alright, so as usual, opening the box, nice bit of foam. Actually, put down to the camera. And we get the ice cube. So before we have a look at the engine, we'll have a look at the paperwork that comes with it. So we've got the usual stuff about running the HM7000 and how you can set that up. Also comes with a function list for every single function on the engine, which is nice. I know some engines that don't come provided with that information. Then we have the maintenance and operating instructions. Which has an awful lot of detail on it. So first off, oiling points, how to remove the tender to gain access to the decoder, 2 screws and a couple clips at the front. We then have a list of the accessories. And then it shows how each of those goes on. So we've got 2 different snowplow types. That's up to me whether I install those. So I will be installing brake pipes and other front details. We've also got a little detail on the side of the cab, which is a tablet catcher. Quite an interesting thing. Then it goes on to the lamps and how that they are removable and changeable. Got one position on the firebox door, it's just off to the side of the centre, and then 3 buffer beam locations. They even provide you with a lamp head code selection. So the model comes equipped with F, I believe. I think it was one off centered. I'm not 100% sure on that one. We'll have to have a look when we get out of the box. It was either F or H. Then on the back we have the coupling connector, between the cab and tender. I think that's getting better the more they refine it. So max capacity of 3 millilitres, pretty much similar to the Scotsman, and making sure the reservoir is empty when carrying out maintenance. Yeah, overfilling can cause it to block up when running, as well as having your output too high. We've also got the detail of the reservoir fill point, which, unlike the Scotsman, which was on the top for that small little detail, this one is like the 2P2s, where it is through the front firebox door. So yeah, it makes it a little easier. The only trouble is the fill point is still small, so you have to be careful when filling it up. So if we put that back in the box. So this time around, the pipette is different. We've got the same 3 millilitre one that we get with this Scotsman. The only difference is the end is now long and thin. Very flexible, I might also add. So that'll come in use later. Right, main event. Let's get the engine out. As usual, you get the little gel pack. I always keep these with the engines as they are running with water. We've got our accessories pack, which has pretty much everything. So we've got a couple additional lamps, probably for making different head codes on the buffer beam. We've also got steps, drain clocks, the chain link coupling, a spare screw. Don't know what that's for, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Oh yeah, screw is for the NEM pocket for the front. That took me a second to work out. That can go in the box. That can also go in the box. Which leads us onto the locomotive. Right, so let's adjust my camera angle. So, now we're on to the Black 5. So yeah, as I've said, I've had it running, so I've already changed the coupling on the tail. So if we just lift this and swivel it slightly. We've got our two forward lamps. If I drag this around this way, just so we can see it better. So, doors held on by two magnets. One of which I've had to glue back on, as after opening it 3 times, the magnet stayed attached to that metal plate. Now, I don't know how well the camera's picking this up, so let's turn the flash on. You might be able to see right there is the fill point. Right in that top corner. So it can be a pain to sometimes get the tube in as that's quite a small angle to make. And then you've got your 2 magnets on the back of the door. Looks like there's still a bit of water moisture in here. I must not have fully emptied her last night. So there is a key way to line that up properly. Yeah, so if it's not aligned, it won't sit in at the bottom. Then you just rotate it around and it'll just slot in. A little different with having the light on the front. So if we come back around, it's an absolutely beautiful model with tons of detail and interior details, including a flickering firebox. We've also got a tail light at the rear, which has red and white lights on it. Coal load is removable, so when I run it on Swanage, this will be one that gets filled up by my coal conveyor. And then if we look down there, we can see the transducer that produces the steam. Sliding cab roof vent, so we can have it closed or open. And as always, sprung buffers on engines. So moving on to one thing that I've already had a mechanical defect with, but being a good modeler I was able to correct it. Is if we just rock the engine over. So I was having issues going around the club with a drive of this engine, where every so often she'd come to a halt softly. Turns out when she went onto a certain corner and the wheels shifted, she would disengage the wheels from the motor. I have repaired this myself, and all I had to do was undo 4 screws. So if you get the same issue where you push it, the wheels turn on their own, not by motor control, just free wheel, then it's your main drive cog that's disengaged. So all I had to do was undo these 4 screws, remove the bottom plate, remove the pickup plate. There's no wires, they're all contact. And then I just used a flat blade screwdriver to nudge the main drive gear over on this middle wheel and back onto the the section it's supposed to be on. So it was a 5-minute job. That meant the engine was working again. And all I needed was a crosshead screwdriver for these 4 screws and a flathead screwdriver to get between the wheel and the cog and just push it back to where it's supposed to be. Since that, I've had no running issues with this model. So just putting it out there, there was an issue and I rectified it myself. Continuing on with the model detail, I have to say I love the detail or the finish on this section where it's matte next to the firebox and the funnel, whereas the rest of it is a slightly glossier finish. That is a detail that I'm starting to like on these engines. This is my first Black 5. So with that all out the way, I think it's time we got her on the rollers and we got to hear her in sound. Right, so now that we've got it on the tracks, we now need to fill a reservoir. Now, I've got a small little bottle of deionised water with a couple drips of smoke oil. You don't have to run the same formula, I just find it works quite well in these engines. So, just going to pop the smoke door off the engine, like that. Now, I've taken this thin bit off this so it enables me to fill it fully. So I'd usually be able to fill it with 3 millilitres of water, but for this test I am not. And I'm just going to go for 1 millilitre. So I then put the tube back on. I just find it easier to do it this way. Then we're just going to give her a nice little fill, as last night I ran out to empty. Right, now just to enable power. Right, so we now have power. So if I find the right engine, and I enable the lighting. So we're going to go for a nice little tour. So we have, hopefully you can see the front lights. If I shade them from my little light over there. So you've got forward lighters there. Then we have our tail light active, which is on a separate function. So 0 does whites, 21 does rear. So if I put it in reverse, that red will go to a white. But for now, we'll come back to here. And we'll fire up the steam. And then we use the foam just to cover up the back so we can see the steam. Right, so I'm just going to give a bit of throttle and play a few sounds in the side, like drains going off and other sounds as we accelerate. Right, so during that I did have to empty out the funnel a few times. I've got mine set a little bit too high, so she's blocking up every so often. And running low on water as well. As I said, I didn't put too much in. So we'll go for a few of the other sounds. So we've got 3 short, 3 long whistles. We've got wheel slip, which only plays when you're pulling away. A bit of coal shoveling. As for the running gear of the engine, is nice and silent. And it's pretty good in both directions. As I said, I've already run this engine for a good few hours now. So, what do I think of the Locomotive? It's a pretty good loco, I have to admit. It's, to be honest, this seems a little weaker than some of the other ones that have come out, but I hear that's just because it's got a smaller transducer than other engines like the Flying Scotsman, due to limited space. The next few videos will be recorded from my club as she was running on the layout. Feel free to subscribe and follow for more videos. Cheers.
Yeah.
Got 7 wood.